Hello, my name is Agnes Waterbottom, and this is the Historical Network Program. Today's episode features a movement that changed American history forever. In 1954, the Civil Rights Movement began. The Civil Rights Movement motivation was to end racial segregation and discrimination towards African Americans. People either stood with the proposal of civil rights or against it. For example, she was known as the First Lady of Civil Rights and the Mother of Freedom Movement, Miss Rosa Parks. On December 1st, 1995, Rosa Parks did something most African Americans were afraid to do. Parks refused to give her seat in the colored section to a white passenger. But Parks wasn't the only one to stand against injustice. Others before Parks were arrested. But the NAACP, the National Association for Advancement of Colored People, believed Rosa Parks was the best candidate for seeing through a court challenge after her arrest for civil disobedience and violating the Alabama segregation laws.
Every day I get stared down like a wild animal. They see me as the enemy. They look at me as if I am the devil himself. Why? Because I am not the same color as them. Yet I breathe like them and breathe the same air as them. I speak the same language. I am God's child just like them. Yet why am I and others like me treated so differently? Why are we treated so cruel just because of the color we are? We are all human and deserve to be treated equally.
Get up. There's no more room in this bus, and I refuse to stand.
No.
Excuse me? What did you say?
I said no.
Do you really know what you're saying, lady? You are violating racial segregation law here. What seems to be the problem here? I can't drive the bus unless you sit down.
This woman won't get my seat back.
Listen here, ma'am. Get up unless you want trouble, you hear?
No.
Listen up, lady. Get up. I'm not asking you again.
No!
That's it. I'm calling the police.
Come with me, ma'am. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you do or say will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right for an attorney. If you're not for an attorney, you will be appointed to you. Do you understand these rights I'm reading to you?
Parks became an international icon of resistance against racial segregation. Parks organized and worked together with civil rights leaders, such as the president of local chapter of NAACP, Edgar Nixon, and a minister in town who gained national prominence in the civil rights movement, Mr. Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a humanitarian civil rights leader, but many of you acknowledge him through his world-famous "I Have a Dream" speech. But King did other work than speeches. In 1955, he led the Montgomery boycott and organized non-violent protests in Birmingham, Alabama. On October 16, 1964, King was granted the Nobel Peace Prize for fighting for equal rights through non-violence. Martin Luther King Jr. had supporters. But unfortunately, to every positive, there is a negative. Martin also had critics who disagreed with African American rights. One specific group was notorious for their violence and white supremacy beliefs: the Ku Klux Klan. Dun 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 dun! Dun 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 dun! Sadly, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4th, 1968. King's death caused numerous riots throughout the country, splitting America in half.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
And this concludes today's episode. I am Agnes Waterbottom, and join me next time in the Historical Network Program as we discuss the tragic story of the last Tsar of Russia.
50 years into the past.